Hello, students. We're going to continue on with factoring in this chapter, and we're going to be doing section 10.6, which is factoring in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 1, in other words. So ax squared, so the a is not equal to 1. In other words, you have a leading coefficient that's not 1, and that just adds like a little level of complexity to your quadratic when you're factoring it. So, for example, they're saying, okay, so let's just take this first top. They're saying 6x squared plus 22x plus 20. So let's say you factored this, and they're telling you right up front that, okay, you did. And so it turns out that this is the factoring for it. 3x plus 5 times 2x plus 4. Okay, well, first of all, these two, right, have to multiply into this to get your first term. The two lasts, right, have to combine to get your last term. And then your middle term is actually the product, right, of 3x times 4 plus 5 times 2x. And so to get that, that's where you get your 12x plus 10x, right? Well, so you can see that it gets to be a lot more complicated in terms of the combinations of things that you would use to try to figure out, how to factor that. So I'm actually going to teach you what I consider to be a foolproof method, and I do it differently than the book because I think this is I think, well, one way to do this is, and this is the way that I learned, was trial and error. You just pick some stuff and you try to get it to work. But I got a method that's even more direct than that, and I think it'll be easier for you to follow. It's called the box method, okay? And I can get you probably a little write-up on how it works, but hopefully you'll get the understanding of how to do it in this lesson, even without that handout. All right, so let's do example 1, okay? And so to use the box method, the one thing that you always have to do before you start using the box on it is to make sure there are no common factors between any of these terms. So in other words, are there any common factors between 2x squared, 11x, and 5? There aren't, right? Now, if all these numbers were even numbers, like for example, let's say this was 12 and that was 6, you would factor out a 2 all the way through, and then you would do the box on what was left inside. But if each of these terms is mutually prime, then you can just go ahead straight to the box. Because the box does something weird where it duplicates factors and stuff if you don't factor out common factors. All right, so the box is a simple 4 by 4 box. My pen's misbehaving. All right, at the very top left, you're going to put the first term of the quadratic. Okay, so it's going to be 2x squared. And then in the bottom right, you're going to put the last term, 5. Okay, what you're going to do now is you're going to figure out what's going to make up this middle term, 11x. Okay, and in order to do that, you are going to multiply the first times the last. Okay, and you're going to get 10. 2 times 5, right? 2 times 5 is 10. So you're basically looking for factors of positive 10 that combine into 11. And that's pretty easy, right? It's positive 10, positive 11. It's got to be 1 and 10. And basically what these are your x terms is what these are going to be. And that's what you're going to put up in the box. You're going to put a 10x and a 1x, so just plain old x, okay? And it does not matter if you flip those around and I put 10x in the bottom here and x up here. The answers turn out to be the same. Now, this is the part of the pattern that's of doing the box method that's important. You are going to you're going to find the GCF going up this way, going up this way, going sideways, this way, and this way. So the greatest common factor between these two terms, okay, is what you're going to be doing. All right, so let me just get this out of the way. So first, let's look between 10x and 5. We're going to go up, okay? What is the GCF, the greatest common factor between 10x and 5. What's the, if the numbers that multiply together to get you that? Well, what are the factors of 5? 1 and 5, right? What are the factors of 10? 2 and 5 and x, right? 10x. So the greatest common factor between these two is a 5. So you're going to write it right there, 5. All right, now let's go between the 2x squared and the x. What's the GCF there? Well, it's going to be x, right? Because it's 1 and 2, so that's not it. And then you got an x, okay? All right, going sideways between 2x squared and 10x, what's the greatest common factor between these two terms? Well, 2 goes into both of them, right? And an x goes into both of them, so it's 2x. And then between the x and the 5, well, they don't really have anything in common. They're mutually prime, so they just have a 1. So this polynomial then, this is your factorization then, right here, what comes out here. So it's 2x plus 1 times x plus 5. All right, FOIL it again, just make sure. 2x times x, there's your 2x squared. 2x times 5, that's 10x, plus 1x, there's your 11x, and then your last term, 1 times 5. Okay, so that's the box method. So basically you're putting the first term in the upper left, the last term here, and then you're going to multiply the leading coefficient times the last term and figure out the factors here that combine to the middle term. And you're going to put those are your x terms. You're going to put those in the two remaining boxes, and then you're going up, up, and then left, left to get the GCF of each of those the greatest common factor of each of those terms. Okay, so let's do check. We're going to start the checkpoint. I do want you to pause it at some point, but let's just do one more together. We'll do number 1 of the checkpoint together, okay, before you pause it and do the other two yourself. So 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. Okay, look at all these. First of all, are there any common factors between these three terms to begin with? No. So it's ready for the box. All right, so I'm going to draw my 2 by 2 box. And top term, upper left. Whatever. First term, upper left. Last term, lower right. Okay, and I'm going to multiply the first and the last. I get 6, right? So I'm looking for factors of positive 6 that combine into 7. Okay, well, that's pretty easy. 1 is 6, right? So that means these are my x terms, and I'm going to stick those in the box. So I'm going to put an x here. That's 1x. And I'm going to put a 6x here. Okay, because 6x plus x, what does that combine into? There's your 7x. Okay, now I'm going to go up, up, left, left. Okay, so I'm going to go up between the 3 and the x. What's the greatest common factor between those two? They don't really have anything in common, so that means they're mutually prime. That means they only have 1 in common, right? All right, now let's go between 2x squared and 6x. Well, 2 and 6 are even numbers, so 2 goes into both of them, but there's also an x in each of these. So this is going to be 2x. All right, now let's go left, left. Okay, so between x and 2x squared, what's my GCF? Well, it's going to be x. Going sideways this way, between 6x and 3, well, my GCF is going to be 3. 3 goes into both of these terms. That's the greatest common factor. Okay, so here's my factorization now. There it is. It is 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. And if I FOIL it, here's my 2x squared there. Then I get 2x times 3. There's my 6x. And then plus 1 times x. So that's 7x. And then my last term, 1 times 3. Okay, so go ahead and press pause and see if you can do the box method on these last two and the checkpoint. So I'm assuming that if you're coming back here, you have done that already. And you're ready to check your work. All right, so number 2 is 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. All right, I look at all these. Do I have any common factors to begin with? No. So I'm ready to go straight to the box. Okay. So I get 2x squared here. Last term is 3. Okay, I'm going to multiply my first, the coefficient, and last I get 6. I'm looking for factors of positive 6 that combine into positive 5. Well, that's going to be 2 and 3. Those are my x terms now. So I'm going to put a 2x here. I'm going to put a 3x here. Again, it doesn't matter which way I do it. It just would rearrange the order that, one would be on top and one on the side. It would be the reverse if I mixed it up, but it doesn't matter. All right, so let's go up, up, over, over. So if I go up, what's the greatest common factor between 2x and 3? Well, they don't have anything in common, right, other than 1. All right, what about 2x squared and 3x? Well, they got an x in common, right? All right, going sideways, 2x squared and 2x. Well, that's going to be 2x. And then going sideways this way, 3x and 3. Well, that's going to be 3. So this is my factorization. It's going to be 2x plus 3 times x plus 1. Okay, and if I FOIL this, I better get the same thing back. 2x squared, okay, 2x times 1, that's my 2x. 3x, okay, that combines into my 5x. And then 3 times 1, there's my 3. All right, now let's look at number 3. Okay, 3 is 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. Yeah, there's nothing in common with any of these. I mean, they have to be the same thing in common, all 3 terms. If this was a 9x, then I would want to factor a 3 out of everything and then do the box on what was left. But I don't have that, so I can just go straight to the box. All right. And upper left is going to be 3x squared. Lower right is going to be 3. I'm going to multiply the 2 3's. 3 times 3, I get 9. And I'm looking for factors of 9 that combine into 10. All right, well, that's just 1 and 9. So those are my x terms. So 1x here, 9x here. Okay. All right, I'm going to go up, up, over, over. So up, up between x and 3, nothing in common except 1. Up, up, okay, between 3x squared and 9x, well, I have a 3x in common. 3x goes into both of these. Okay, sideways, I got between 3x squared and x, well, I got an x. And then sideways this way, 9x and 3, I'm going to have a 3. So these are my factors, okay? 3x plus 1 times x plus 3. Okay, let's FOIL it and make sure. 3x squared, 9x plus x, there's my 10x, and then the last one, 1 times 3, there's my 3. All right, moving along. Let's pick up with example 2, and we're going to keep doing the same process, but they're going to be throwing, in the different combinations of signs. So, where you have things going to be negative and positive and all that sort of stuff. But it's all the same kind of thought process. So I get 6x squared minus 19x plus 15. Okay. Well, because the 19's prime, I know I don't have any common factors between all 3 of these. So I can go straight to the box. Now, if it was 9x there in the middle instead of 19x, I would want to take a 3 out of everything and then do the box on what's remaining. But that's not what I got. So I got 6x squared here. I got 15 here. I'm going to multiply 6 times 15, okay, to figure out my factors. Okay, now I need factors of positive 90, okay, because this is positive and that's positive, but it combines into a negative number. So again, that's telling me that my 2 factors are going to have to be negatives to combine into a negative 19. So, and I can already tell what it's going to be. It's going to be 9 times 10, right? That combines into negative 19. Okay, so those are my x factors. That's where I'm going to put this. I'm going to say negative 9x, negative 10x. All right, now let's go up, up, over, over. So between 15 and negative 9x, what's my greatest common factor? It's going to be 3. Now, okay, this is the new thing. If you are touching a box on a negative term, that's going to make this negative. So this is touching negative 9. That's going to make that negative, okay? All right, good. Let's go up between 6x squared and 10x. What's the greatest common factor between these? Looks to me like it's going to be a 2x. 2x goes into both of these. All right, going this way, between 6x squared and negative 9x. All right, that's going to be 3x. Okay, and then going this way, negative 10x and 15. Well, that's going to be negative 5. Okay, and because this is touching a negative, that makes this negative. Okay, now that's why it's important for you to always do this in this order, where you're going to be up on top and then down to the left. Okay, because if you were to put this on other parts of the box, it wouldn't work out. So you have to do it so that it's at the top and then to the left, like this. So this works out to factor into 2x minus 3 times 3x minus 5. Okay, and if you refoil this, then you would get back your original quadratic. So that's 6x squared, okay, minus 10x minus 9x. There's your negative 19x plus 15. So there's your positive 15. So that's how that factors. Okay, so come back and we will in the next video and we will finish this section.